one.
Lupesoliai, la uli ole male atua Joseph Parker. Thank you very much and welcome to Pacific Grandstand. It's an honour to have you on. Great to be here with you and have this chat, but thank you for giving your time.
Listen, it's great to be on. Firstly, I just want to say thanks very much for announcing my name. I get very, there's a sense of pride when I'm fighting and they're able to announce my name before the fight. And I feel like it's a great representation of where I'm from. You know, obviously New Zealand, Samoa, and I'm very proud of our heritage. And yeah, you got it very right.
Thank you. And you know, as a fan and as a Samoan, I've got to say I'm proud of when some of these announcers do it right. I think that's important. They obviously take the time to talk to you and learn how to pronounce it properly. Some of the commentators in my sport of rugby league don't always get it right, but you know, when they do, it's awesome, and we're really proud of you and what you've done, and that you recognise our culture that way too.
Listen, sometimes, like say, example before the last fight, we said to the guy, "Can you please announce my full name?" And he said, "What was that?" So I said, "Lupesoliai la ule male toa Joseph Parker." He said, "Oh, I think that's going to be a bit hard." I said, "Hold on." I said, "Michael Buffer done it. David Diamanta done it. All these other, announcers have done it, and you're saying it's too hard." So anyways, my cousin Poasa, who was there with me in Saudi Arabia, took the MC to the side and taught him how to say my name. So he kept practicing and practicing, and then he got it right. And before I walked out to the fight, he came in and said, "Joe, am I saying your name right?" And he said it to me. I said, "Also, thank you very much. Let's go."
Yeah, and it's, to people outside our culture, it's only a small thing, that it's just your name, but it's a huge thing. It's important, whether it's your Makai name or your last name is a Samoan pronunciation or a Pacific Island pronunciation. Just having that respect to get it right, eh?
Yeah, listen, and everyone that we've come across has shown that respect, and I'm just grateful that they're able to take into account how we are so proud of our culture and want to represent ourselves around the world on a big stage.
Awesome. I just want to go a little bit off track here a little bit. You left New Zealand a couple of years ago. You joined a camp in Lancashire in the little sleepy town of Morecambe, little seaside sleepy town. Tell me, can you tell our listeners, describe a little bit about what Morecambe is like, where you've been?
Yeah, so I spent 8 years in Vegas training with Kevin Barry, and then I made a decision to change trainers. So I met up with Andy Lee, and we started off in Ireland. And then when I moved to Morecambe, that's where Tyson Fury lives. And Morecambe it's a seafront. You're right next to the sea. And Morecambe is a small place. It's a small town. And since I've been to Morecambe, Tyson himself has been very generous to me and giving me everything that I need as a fighter to progress in boxing. He's given me his gym to use in Morecambe Bay. He's got his own private gym that we go to every day to use, and that's where we do our cardio, our boxing training, our sparring. He's got his local cafe, which used to be his. Now it's my local cafe. He's got this local shops like Sainsbury, which is like and back in New Zealand, it's like a Countdown of Sainsbury, and he's given me a glove sponsor for one of the fights that I've had. He gave me his house in Morecambe Bay to live in for the camp. So the big reason why we train in Morecambe, because everything is there, and you got the best of sparring. You know, Tyson lives there, but he brings in sparring partners from all over the world, and they all come to Morecambe Bay to train with I say Tyson and myself now, because I'm known as a person from Morecambe, and it's been very good to me, Morecambe, and I got a lot of support there now, a lot of friends, and I'm very grateful that my journey has taken me to this side of the world. First started off in America, but now I'm in England, Ireland, and what can I say? It's a blessing.
For sure. And you say it's a real small town and you've been there for a while. The locals must be used to seeing you around. You must be just part of the little town now.
You know what? The names that they've given me on this side of the world is Gypsy Joe, Morecambe Joe. So those are the two names that so every time I walk past them, hey, Morecambe Joe, hey, Gypsy Joe, hey, all the travelers, and even if I go to, say, big events or big fights, all the travelers have taken me in like their own. And I think our Samoan culture and the traveler culture are very similar, very family orientated, very close. And I feel like now that I've been on this side of the world, I could see that. And Tyson and his brothers and his family have taken me in as one of the. He texted me like, "Uso, what time are we having dinner?" Or "Uso, what time are we training?" So I think it's very cool that he's able to show that appreciation of using our language, even if it's just a Uso or Malo man, or you know what I mean. It's pretty cool.
Fantastic, real good. Has any of that? Have you been able to impart any of that onto the locals in Morecambe? Is there anybody outside of the boxing world in Morecambe that you've grown close to, neighbours or people you see daily?
There's a guy, listen, I've stayed in a few apartments, and there's a guy named Joe Crookor and also Tyson, all of Tyson's families, all of his friends. I spent one Christmas at Tyson's house with all his family and friends, when I was in training camp, and I got Joe Crookor who looks after me, and there's so many people I can name, but there's so many people that I can, like, I'm going to England next weekend. London, I'm doing a shoot in London for the fight, and then we're going to drive to Morecambe. And as soon as I get to Morecambe, I already got everything set up. They've got a car there. I got an apartment. I know the apartment's going to be filled with food. So I got so many people I can rely on, and I think it's just great to be able to travel around the world and to be accepted and to be looked after. I think it's a great thing. It feels nice to be looked after all over the world wherever you go.
And that must be heartening for your parents over here to know that you're getting looked after and you've got a family away from them that take you in, and whilst you're away in Ireland and you're going to London, your back's covered.
Yeah, listen, it makes my parents happy. Every time I call home, I say everything is good and everything is smooth. They're very happy. My wife and kids are very happy, even though I'm away, that I have a family in Ireland that I can to rely on. I have a family in Morecambe that I can rely on. I got family everywhere, and I think even like in England, all the Samoan rugby players and coaches all reach out, and I haven't yet gone to have kohai with them, but when I do get some time off, I will. They've invited me a few times to go have kohai, but I said, hey, hold on, I can't really eat this food at the moment. I was just on a strict diet at the moment.
Well, I know they'll be keen to have you. I know, talking to Carl Hall, who is keen to get you to one of the boys' gatherings. So as soon as you can do that, that'd be awesome, and get your fill.
Listen, there's nothing more I miss than having Samoan food. Like, back home, I have oka, kui, mussels, oysters. I have, do you have luau, kalo, everything. Bovi masima, whatever. Listen, all the things that we can eat. I miss it when I come here. So when I do get home Boxing Day, I'm going to make the most of eating our traditional food.
All the dangerous stuff.
All the ones that go straight to the gut. Yeah.
As you said, 8 years you spent in Vegas with Kevin Barry. You finally decided to make a move across and go to Tyson Fury and then link up with Andy Lee. What are the biggest differences, or what are the changes that Andy Lee's been able to implement in your fight game?
I think if you really break it down in boxing terms, a lot of the fights that I had, I did something really good, and I took a lot of breaks in my fights where I would be, fighting, and then I'll take a break and cruise. Where Andy Lee, is sort of trying to help me stay focused every second of every minute of every round. And that's what I need to do for this next fight coming up. But even though when I moved to Andy Lee, I was still testing out a few strength conditioning trainers. I was testing out a few nutritionists, and nothing really clicked until this year. I finally clicked properly with Andy and learning what he's trying to teach me. But also I found a guy named George Lockhart who Tyson Fury introduced to me, and George has been around for a while, and now he's taken over my strength conditioning and also my nutrition and cooking all the food. So I got Andy Lee and George Lockhart looking after everything, and I feel like in my boxing career, it's the best balance that I've ever had. It's taken me 11 years, but I feel like alive again as a fighter. I feel revived, and I feel like I got this new life in boxing.
Yep, you fought just under a month ago against Simon Keane, again in Saudi Arabia. Deontay Wilder he's fought once in the last 2 years. How big of an impact do you think that can be in your fight coming up?
I didn't really think that that you could have like a long time off, and then I thought everyone would be fine after a long time off outside of the ring. But you do get that ring rust, and I did feel that rust a few fights when I was outside of the ring for a while. So listen, I hope that he comes in the best, which he will be, and I hope he comes in fresh and ready, because I want to challenge the best Deontay Wilder. And I want to test myself against the best out there. And I truly believe that he's still right at the top.
Has Tyson been able to give you any tips after his 3 fights against him?
Yeah, we've been chatting, we've been talking, and I've been getting a bit of advice from him. Ultimately, Andy Lee's going to come up with a plan. But once we go to England next weekend, we want to do a week and a bit, or 2 weeks sparring with Tyson, and that's when he can show me a lot of things that he, with his experience being in the ring 3 times, that can help me big time with the fight.
Your last fight again with Simon Keane was in Saudi. This will be Deontay's first fight in Saudi Arabia. Is there a Saudi Arabia effect? Is it the heat, or is it the
I think
sea level?
the timing is not the biggest difference, the timing from England to Saudi, but you still have to go there early to acclimatize and get used to the heat, the time zone, and also just it's a different place. So different places require, I think, more time to adjust to and adapt to.
Big card, big heavyweight card, and obviously led by Joshua and Otto Walden. But also on the card, Junior Fa, Jai Opetaia. So a big heavyweight card, but also a big Pacific Island card. How does that feel to be leading that contingent of our brothers?
Listen, I was in Saudi Arabia I was in London for the press conference last week, and I saw Jai and gave him a big hug, and then I saw Junior Fa, give him a hug, and I was like, listen, boys, when I really look at it, you got 3 Polynesians representing on the biggest fight that has been in a long, long time. And Jai Opetaia, champion, he is one hell of a fighter. Junior Fa's done, him and I have shared the ring together, and also he's had a good career. So I think it's just nice to have that representation of us on this big stage, and hopefully the Usos and the Docs are going to do very well on this card.
Just another thing on training, fighting so soon after. Does that change your prep? Does it change your prep because of the shorter time? And obviously you'll be conditioned, you'll be ready to go as a normal prep to a fight where you haven't fought for a while. Is your preparation for this a little bit different?
Yeah, the last camp I was training in Morecambe we had a 12-week camp, whereas this camp's only a 5.5-week camp. But I leave all the boxing training and sparring to Andy Lee. But then with George overlooking everything for me in terms of strength conditioning, rest, recovery, food, I leave everything to him. So it has, from the last camp to this camp, it has changed. We're doing a lot more explosive workouts, HIIT workouts, and I want to be a lot more mobile with Deontay Wilder, not as stationary.
And I thought one of your greater performances was against Derek Chisora, where you threw those punches and bunches, and credit to Derek Chisora. I don't know how he stood up and how he stayed with some of the punches you did, but it goes in with what you're saying about staying alive for the whole fight, staying busy. Is that what we can expect on the 23rd of December?
Yeah, with the last fight, Simon Keane, it was a good fight and it was a good win, but Simon wasn't really a top 10 fighter. I think with this fight, I'm going to be a lot more alert. I'm going to be a lot more, there's going to be a lot more movement, and not wasted movement, but movement that you need to stay away from any dangerous punches coming my way. And I'm going to be giving a lot more punches, like you said, punches and bunches, combinations. If the 1-2 doesn't work, the 3-4 doesn't catch, 5, 6, 7, 8 probably catch him. So there's going to be a lot more explosivity in this fight coming up.
Just a little bit away from this fight, it was just announced that Tyson's finally going to fight Alexander Usyk. There'll be some out of this card that you're fighting on. Some of the winners will be queuing up to see. Will there ever be a time, do you think, and I know Andy Lee has said no, it'll never happen, but that you could fight Tyson?
I've always wanted before. I've always wanted to fight him, and I've always said I want to test myself against the best. I feel like he's the best at the moment, so I want to fight him. And I want to test myself and see where I am against Tyson. I said to him, "Listen, do you reckon we'll ever fight one day?" He said, "Joe, you're one of my brothers. I'd rather give you the belt, or I'd rather vacate the belt. And you can fight for it." And I said, "Listen, we can get together and make a big fight happen." And he's just like, "No, listen, it's not going to work." He said, "Do you chase what you're trying to chase, and I'll chase my thing. We'll take over together."
You follow a long line of great heavyweight boxers, Samoan boxers, David Tua, Jimmy Piau, Marcelino Marsoy, those types of people. How important is it for you to lead the next crop of boxers? We're a community that's rugby mad, and we play a lot of contact sports with the ball. How big is it for you to bring those guys?
For a nation like Samoa, who the population isn't the biggest, we do have some great talent and great athletes. Not only rugby athletes, but like boxers and UFC fighters, and and I think it's very important. Like when I spoke to David Tua back in the days, I was like starstruck, and I don't know what to say, and I said, also, I love your work, man. And he's like, "Joe, one piece of advice I'll give you is that when you go into your boxing career, I want you to do better than me. Don't try and like me. Try and be better than me." And I think with that advice, I'll try and pass it on to any other fighters coming up, Samoan fighters, Islander fighters. Don't try to be like someone else. Try and be better, or be the best that you can be. And I think it's important, and it's a blessing and a privilege to be in this position, to be able to give back and to lead by example, and just to chase my dreams, and hopefully the younger generation can see that and chase their dreams.
Lastly, if you could look back and you could do this, and you see young Joseph starting out his career as a boxer, and Joseph today gets a chance to speak to him, what advice does he give him?
You know what? When I look back at my career that I've had, I wouldn't change anything. But if I really go down to detail, I'll look back at the younger me and say, "Don't be an idiot." Like the younger me wasn't as focused as the me now. The younger me took shortcuts. The younger me went out and had fun when he should have been training. The younger me did many things that when I look back and think, why did I do it? So there's a lot of things that I did back in the past where I thought, and even though I was winning fights, I shouldn't have done it, And I look back now and think, I wouldn't, like where I am now, I wouldn't even dream of doing those things. So if I had to look back, I'll just say, hey, listen, focus. You can do a lot better than you've done, because I know I could have held on to the title if I actually gave it everything I had. But I cheated myself, and I didn't train hard, and I went out and fought like I was a superstar when I wasn't really a superstar, So just a little bits of advice, like just, do it for yourself, and don't do it for others. Do it for yourself first and foremost, and then you can do it for others.
Awesome, and I get what you mean. You have no regrets about it, because you're in a fantastic place now, and you've got a fantastic fight coming up 23rd of December in Saudi Arabia against Deontay Wilder. We're all so proud of you and what you've done. We're proud of what you've got to come up to on the 23rd. We know you're going to do us proud on that fight night. We wish you all the very best. We thank you so much for your time this evening, your time, this morning, our time here. We wish you all the best again, and hopefully we see you after Christmas back home enjoying some of that seafood, some of that massive me'ai, and all the best for your preps for the next couple of weeks. Thanks again, Joseph, for coming on Pacific Grandstand.
Kai lava to everyone for kapuaʻiga and time to work.